Hello Frenzy, my name is Kate Shark and welcome back to Lamplight City. So we are on the third case now, and like I said before, I think there's 5.
So, you're up at last.
Did I take medicine to go to sleep?
Is something the matter, Addie?
Oh, I see. You don't remember
yeah,
last
sure.
night, do
Okay.
you? I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
Sounds like I'm in trouble, I hope I didn't. Ooh, this is very, very tricky territory.
Please tell me I didn't do anything stupid last night.
No, I wouldn't use the word stupid.
Oh, thank God.
Disgusting and shameful would be more appropriate, I think.
Oh. What did I do, exactly?
It was nearly 2 when you burst in here, soused to the eyeballs from God knows where. I imagine you've probably forgotten that, too. You were muttering something about peace and quiet and then proceeded to relieve yourself on my begonias before stumbling into bed.
Charming. I salute you, O Vice Admiral of the Narrow Seas.
Good God. How embarrassing. I'm so sorry, Addie. I don't know what came over me.
I don't either. I've never seen you in such a state, and I pray that I never will again.
I would say I bit off more than I could
I just
chew.
bit off more than I could chew last night. I promise you, it won't happen again.
What possessed you to go out and get so drunk anyway?
I decided to stop taking the soporific. It was interfering with my ability to focus on cases. I thought perhaps having a drink or 2 would help me sleep, and I got a bit carried away.
I see. Well, I'm at least glad you've stopped taking that terrible medicine. But trading it for alcohol? This had better really be a one-time occurrence. Anyway, you got another message from Upton. It's there on the table, if you're feeling fit for the world now.
Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna sneeze. Of course, here it doesn't come. Okay. Fordham, a new case has come in, but the police are already investigating. Details have made their way into the newspaper. Excuse me, I won't be able to meet you at the ruin, so here are the details. The deceased is Desiree Lathan. Her apartment is 840 right way. Good luck, see Upton.
Huh.
What does Upton say this time?
That she can't meet me, and that I should go straight to the scene of the crime.
I wonder if that means the police have started to suspect that she's giving you these cases.
She also says news of this case has been made public, and the police are already investigating. Have you heard of Desiree Lathan?
Yes, there's something about her in today's paper. I didn't read the article, though. Where's the crime scene?
840 Right Way. It's not too far from here, thankfully.
You're sure you're feeling up to this today?
I'll be fine. The mental exercise will get me back to normal in no time.
Okay, so let's have a look at the newspaper then. Harris baby found suspected. We saw that. Kidnapped. Good. He was found. That's good. Grand Dame found burned to death. Uh-oh. Desiree Lathan, age 63, was found burned to death in her home yesterday morning. Police were called to the scene by a neighbor who smelled smoke, only to find the grisly scene. Miss Lathan in her bed, body burnt to ashes. The circumstances of Miss Lathan's death are unknown, but the police have not ruled out the possibility of foul play. Lathan was born in New Britannia, the daughter of a wealthy plantation owner. She grew to become one of the most loved and respected of the Gascon Grand Dames, whatever. Although she had many suitors over the years, Lathan never married. An avid reader, writer, and poet, Miss Lathan had several articles published in local newspapers and magazines. Residents of Gascon said they would miss seeing her in her brightly colored hats and dresses as she walked by. Their mysterious murder has yet another police scrambling to quell rumors. Mass murder stalking the shadowy comers of Lamplight City. We have no indication whatsoever that these residents of linked. In any case, detectives are working on the harassment. I'm sorry. Sure, the killer or killers are found and brought to justice. Heats of election. Ugh. October 11th, 1844.
Well, this is shaping up to be quite the investigation. I should probably get a move on before the police ruin the crime scene any more than they already have.
Good luck, Miles. And stay away from the bars, would you?
Okay.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
Addie, please know that I'm deeply sorry for my behavior last night. I'll do everything I can to make it up to you. Would you like me to get some new begonias?
I don't need pretty flowers or pretty words, Miles. I just want things to go back to how they were. That's really all the apology I require.
You're looking especially lovely today, Addie.
Miles, don't flirt with me. Not now.
I wouldn't push my luck with her, Miles. She hasn't completely forgiven you.
What have you been up to lately?
Nothing particularly exciting. My usual clients have been scheduling appointments, and I've been trying to get some new ones as well. In my free time, I've been catching up on my reading.
Anything good?
Yes, the conclusion to the dissembling mechanism was just published in Brentwell magazine last week.
What's that?
James Penstroke's latest serial. I wanted to read it to you, but you haven't been around much lately.
Perhaps I'll take a look now that I can actually concentrate again.
Yes, you could read it to me. I wouldn't mind hearing it again. It would certainly be a nicer way to spend your time than going out drinking.
Was Desiree Lathan a client of yours by any chance?
No, but plenty of the other grand dames used to gossip about her.
What sort of things would they say?
Usually they'd comment about how much she'd had to drink the night before. I got the impression she was quite the tippler. I hope you're not planning on following her example.
Jeez,
That would
woman.
require me to burn to death in our bed.
Then I stand by my previous statement.
Let it go.
I'll let you get back to your book.
I mean, it's a peed on some flowers.
I shouldn't be gone too long.
I wish you'd let me fix your hair before you go out like that.
It'll be fine.
So my hair's starting to look like really bad. Hello, boys.
Looks as though we've arrived fashionably late.
Excuse me, sir, but this is an active crime scene. We can't allow members of the public.
Oh, this isn't just any member of the public, Kane. This is Miles Fordham. He used to be one of us until he got his partner killed.
Wonderful. Officer Parsons is on the scene. It's a shock the apartment isn't in a shambles.
Good day to you too, officers.
Fordham? What are you doing here?
Ah, Captain Snelling. What a pleasure.
That's Chief Snelling now, Fordham. I don't expect you follow the workings of the department much these days, but I'd appreciate the proper address.
So nice to see that power hasn't gone to his head.
My apologies, Chief Snelling.
You haven't answered my question. What in blazes are you doing here?
You want this crime solved, don't you? I'm conducting my own query. I could be an asset to your investigation.
Out of the question. This is an active crime scene, Fordham. Leave the premises immediately.
Let's be honest, Snelling. You could use my help on this.
I see your resignation hasn't done much to curb your arrogance. We don't need any help. Not even from former detectives. Parsons, I'm going back to the station. I want you to report the minute you're done here. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, don't get any funny ideas, Fordham. If you so much as breathe on anything in here, I'll have you arrested for tampering with a crime scene. Do I make myself clear?
Sure, whatever you say, Chief.
Keep your nose where it belongs, or you'll have me to answer to.
I suppose it's reassuring that even in this crazy, ever-changing world, you can always count on Snelling to be a complete ass.
You heard the chief. No snooping around. The sooner you get out of here, the better for all of us.
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
How long have you been on the force, officer?
2 months, sir.
And how's it treating you so far?
This is where I was meant to be.
That's good to hear.
Parsons mentioned you used to be a detective?
I was, yes, for 15 years. It wasn't always easy. I loved every minute of it.
Parsons goes on about how he's got his eye on becoming a detective, but I don't know if I'd be able to handle it.
Is that right?
Yes. He's up for review. I think he's trying to impress Snelling to improve his chances.
Parsons wants to be a detective? Now I've heard it all. As if he needed more of a reason to be Snelling's lapdog.
Is there anything you can tell me about Desiree Lathan?
I'm afraid not. You don't have clearance in this investigation.
And there's nothing I can say to convince you otherwise?
My superiors would be very upset if they knew I was breaking the rules. I'm sorry.
I think the operative phrase in this instance is if they knew. We need to find a way to get Parsons out of here. Maybe we should visit Upton at the station.
Okay.
Do you enjoy working with Officer Parsons?
I don't like to talk about my colleagues, sir. Especially when they're standing right over there.
I understand. Perhaps this isn't the right time to be asking. Thanks for your time, officer.
Not a problem.
In the convo, we'll talk to Parsons.
Excuse me, Officer Parsons.
Clear off, Fordham. The chief doesn't want you here, and neither do I. You aren't on the force anymore, so you've got to respect the rules, just like every other citizen.
He'd be respecting my fist if I were alive, believe me.
I'm not trying to cause any trouble. I just want to ask a few questions.
Well, if it will get you to leave faster.
You're looking well these days, Parsons. What's your secret?
Secret? I don't know. Maybe something about getting a good night's sleep without blood on my hands does wonders.
I hear you're looking to become a detective, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Shouldn't be a difficult bar to clear, given the caliber of some former detectives.
The process isn't easy, you know. You have to prove you're the best of the best.
Don't think I'm not aware of that, Fordham.
I'm just saying, standing around here isn't going to do you any favors.
I know that. First chance I get to shake this grunt detail for a shot at some real investigation, I'm all over it.
Parsons' eagerness might be something we can use to our advantage.
Have you made much progress on this investigation?
Drop it, before I have to arrest you for interfering with a police investigation.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
Nothing.
Because you don't know?
No, because I'm not going to betray Chief Snelling's orders and divulge that information to the public.
Come on, Parsons, you know me. What harm would it do to tell me just a little bit?
Do I have to state the obvious? If it were up to me, you'd be in jail for murdering an officer.
I wouldn't make such claims without knowing the facts, Parsons. It could get you in serious trouble. It'd be a real tragedy to see your career cut short and you back in the workhouse polishing airship rivets.
You don't scare me, Fordham.
Rest assured, the feeling is mutual. How long has Officer Kane been on the force?
I'm not one to gossip, Fordham.
That's only the second most hypocritical thing I've heard today.
Ask him yourself if you're so interested.
Why was Chief Snelling here anyway?
He's the chief of police, and this is an official investigation. It doesn't take a grand leap of logic.
Yes, but the chief of police never bothers with a crime scene unless it's of great importance.
Your point?
Does that mean this crime scene is, in fact, of great importance?
You're the investigator, Fordham. I'll leave you to work that one out.
That's all I wanted to know.
Good.
An invitation to the Gascon Grand Dame's Ball. It seems it was held 2 nights ago at the Gascon Supper Club. Might be worth looking into, seeing as it's our only lead right now.
Okay. Alrighty then. So, what's this? Let's look at the case book. Investigate. Found a way to Officer Parsons to leave the crime scene. Investigate the supper club.
I didn't imagine we'd be coming back here in this lifetime.
Fordham, have you solved the case already?
What's up, Upton?
Don't I wish? I haven't even gotten started.
Well, I'm here if you need anything. Just be sure not to let Snelling see you.
Is he back yet?
He arrived a few minutes ago. I expect he'll be sequestered in his office today, so you shouldn't have to worry too much.
Good to know. Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
Let's see.
Back to work, I see.
Yes, well, the coffee shop holiday had to end eventually. I'm gonna have to find someplace else to meet you. The higher-ups are getting suspicious.
To be honest, it was a bit wretched there. I won't miss it.
Well then, Mr. Big Bug, you can have the honor of choosing the next place. Under a bridge somewhere, perhaps.
Have you been able to find any leads on Bill's death?
Have you?
Not yet, no.
I don't want to get your hopes up, but I may have something.
Oh?
The man you're looking for, he was burgling a flower shop, right?
Yes.
I couldn't help but notice that in the last 2 cases you've had, plants have been used to drug people.
That's
It
true.
may just be a coincidence, but I also think it's something worth looking out for. If it becomes a pattern, there's a good chance it might be related.
But 2 different people did the drugging.
True, but in both cases, they learned from someone else.
It's a stretch, but it's better than nothing. I'll take it into consideration. Any updates on the Harris baby?
He's back home and doing well, thanks to you.
I'm glad to hear it.
We read that in
You
the
did an
paper.
impressive job. I admit I was a bit but I suppose.
It's a guaranteed win.
Okay.
I see
look
the
at
Gazette has caught wind of this supposed mass murderer.
Yes, Snelling has been positively fuming about it. Between that and the Lathan case being publicized on the same day, it's been a nightmare for the department.
Any idea how they got the information?
I don't think anyone in the department has spoken to the press. Maybe they just have some very good reporters.
So, is it serious? Should we be concerned?
3 murders is nothing to sneeze at, but all the victims have been men in Chumley. If that changes, then things might start getting urgent.
Isn't that just the way of things? You can bet they'd have already caught the bastard if the first body had turned up in Leon.
I'm having some trouble with Officer Parsons.
You and everyone else who's ever met him. What's the problem?
He's keeping me away from the Lathan crime scene.
Of course. He's one of the most loyal to Snelling.
Any suggestions for how I might get him away so I can look around?
I might have an idea. There are several reported crimes that haven't been assigned yet, and Parsons is itching to prove his investigative chops. He'd probably abandon his post for a good enough lead and the chance to impress Snelling.
Up to no good. You impress me.
Department politics are something of a specialty of mine.
About getting Parsons away from the crime scene?
All right, these are the, as of yet, unassigned crimes. The body of a young man was found in the Hodgman River by the Gascon docks this morning. A woman in Chumley reported hearing a single gunshot in her neighbor's apartment last night. There was a deadly explosion at a factory in Worcester that may be linked to sabotage. And that's it for right now. Any of those strike your fancy?
The factory explosion.
Give me the details about the factory explosion.
The owner of the Hawkins Steelworks reported an explosion at his factory that killed 2 of his workers. He says he's been getting several threatening letters about his current project.
And so he suspects someone has sabotaged the operation?
Yes, likely the Redites. Do you think Parsons will be interested?
No.
All right.
Let's try this.
Let's hear about the gunshot.
Ethel Williamson reported hearing a sound she described as a single gunshot coming from her neighbor's apartment last night. She said she had been hearing arguments over the past several weeks, and there may have been domestic violence involved. When she knocked on the door, she got no answer, but she said she noticed the distinct smell of flowers.
Intriguing.
Do you think Parsons will be interested?
Sounds good. Let's go with that one.
All right, I'll send out the report as soon as we're done talking.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
Okay. Guess we'll go look at the supper club.
Excuse me, miss?
Oh, well, hello there, handsome. I've never seen you around here before.
Well,
Care to join me for a drink?
thanks, but I'm afraid I'm married.
Thank you, but I'm on duty.
On duty? What are you, a cop?
Force of habit. I'm a private investigator, actually.
Oh, not much better, if you ask me.
The name's Miles Fordham, and you are?
Charlotte Robineau.
Pleasure. Would you mind if I asked you a few questions?
I suppose not. It would help pass the time.
Were you here for the Grand Dame's ball the other night?
Of course, we all were. Well, except for Laura. Terrible business.
You mean Laura Dupre?
The very same. Have you met?
I have. In fact, I investigated her attempted murder.
Is that right? I heard she ended up in jail for torturing her servants.
Yes, it was quite disturbing.
I didn't think Laura was capable of such a thing. She always seemed so kind. I guess we all have our dark secrets.
Does that apply to you as well, Miss Robinow?
If I told you, then it would no longer be a secret, would it?
Fair point. Do you know Desiree Lathan?
I knew her, yes.
When did you last speak to her?
Oh, it's been ages. She and I haven't had much to do with each other for a while.
Why is that?
It's really not important. We just didn't see eye to eye on a few things.
Was she at the Grand Dame's ball?
Yes, she was. Drinking up a storm, as usual. Desi really knew how to enjoy herself.
How much did she drink?
Oh, I don't know. She used to outmatch me, and I can handle quite a bit.
What can you tell me about Desiree's death?
Just what I've read in the papers. She burned to death. It's horrible. She certainly didn't deserve to die in such a gruesome way.
Did she have any enemies? Anyone who might have wanted to do her harm?
No. Everyone loved her.
Except you?
Mr. Fordham, I said we haven't had much to do with
Yeah.
each other. That doesn't mean I didn't care for her. Now please, let's drop the subject.
Tell me a little about yourself.
Why, Mr. Fordham, I hardly know you. That said, I'm always open to making new friends.
Ooh, watch out, Miles. I think she's getting ready to pounce.
I must compliment you on your lovely hairstyle.
Oh, how sweet of you to say. Though it is getting a bit ragged. I'm having it done this afternoon, in fact. My girl Adelaide is a treasure.
You don't say. Well, she must be talented to improve on near perfection.
Oh, such a flattering tongue, Mr. Fordham.
Huh. I'm not gonna compliment her
Thanks for your
again.
time. I'll let you get back to your drink.
Thanks, sweetheart.
Ugh.
Nobody's bothered clearing this table yet, it seems. Well, if no one's cleaned up, you might as well do them the favor.
I don't know how it makes it a clue. Unwashed mud. Huh. Alright, let's see here. She's just pounding him back, isn't she? Alright. Oh, he's gone. Cool.
Looks like Parsons took the bait. Now maybe we can finally have a look around the crime scene.
Begging your pardon, officer.
Yes, what is it, sir?
Do you enjoy working with Officer Parsons?
If I'm being honest, he can be a bit much sometimes.
Trust me, you're not the only one who feels that way. I didn't have much interaction with him when I was a detective, but the few times I did weren't very pleasant.
I could tell he doesn't seem to care much for you. Although I don't think he cares much for anyone except the chief, and that's only because he's the one who gives out the promotions.
What was Chief Snelling doing here?
He was inspecting the crime scene.
Yes, but why was he involved? Is there something special about it that would require the chief of police to look into it?
Well, someone thought it might be related to the big case we're not supposed to talk about.
You mean the mass murderer?
Yes, sir. I could see why the chief is upset that the news has gotten out.
And is it related?
No, I don't believe so. But the news reports are beginning the public on edge.
Of course. The less information there is, the easier it is for rumors to start spreading.
Exactly. Chief Snelling has a lot of fires to put out.
If that's the case, it's too bad he didn't get to Ms. Lathan in time.
Is there anything you can tell me about Desiree Lathan?
I couldn't really say.
Come now, I'm trying to help this investigation. Any small detail would be useful.
Well, I haven't really looked over the crime scene too much. It's rather gruesome, you see.
Is the body still here?
Yes, what's left of it at any rate. Miss Lathan was only identified by the tattoo on her foot.
I see. Has there been much progress here?
Snelling and Parsons examined the scene, that's all I know.
Do you think I might have a look? now that the initial investigation's been conducted?
I'm afraid that's out of the question, sir. I have my orders.
Officer Kane, I'm trying to aid this investigation. There may have been something overlooked by the others.
If Parsons were to catch you, my career would be over.
Trust me, he won't be back for some time. I swear on my honor as a former member of the New Britannia Police.
All right. I suppose you can go in for a moment, but please be quick about it.
Thank you, Officer Kane. I promise this will stay between us.
I just love rookie officers. They're so gullible. I once got one to shine my shoes for a week after convincing him it was department policy. Good times.
Thanks for your time, officer.
Not a problem.
Okay, let's get in here and look. Yikes.
That's certainly a pungent aroma. I can see why the officer stuck to the living room.
Surprisingly modest quarters for a grande dame. You'd never guess she could buy out the likes of you and me 1,000 times over.
Okay, let's look.
Some crumpled up letters. They look to be of the romantic variety.
They're from the same person. One Peter Andrews.
It's always sad to see a case of unrequited love. I'm thinking we should find out who this Peter Andrews is.
Good idea.
Okay, wow. July 15th, 1844. My sister's birthday. Not that year, though. Dearest Desiree, I offer you my heart, though I am sadly unable to offer you my hand. Oh, that circumstances were different. Why must life and love both be so cruel? I must continue to love and admire you from afar. I can only hope these feelings are mutual. Love, Peter. My dearest Desiree, the September 27th. Once again, I must declare my love for you, though you have not yet responded to any of my letters. I maintain hope that you care for me as I do for you. I remain ever faithful. Call upon me, and I will rush to your side. We will embrace as Mr. and Mrs. Andrews at long last. Love, Peter. Huh.
It looks as though Miss Lathan was in the middle of writing something.
It's an article for Brentwell magazine.
Igniting the fires within.
Igniting the fires within. A bit on the nose, wouldn't you say? Classic Brentwell. They have a reputation for making their writers go to extremes for their articles, all for the sake of entertainment.
Perhaps we should pay their offices a visit, see exactly what it was Miss Lathan was doing for them.
Okay, we are all familiar with the idea of an inner fire, a term usually applied to our sense of passion or determination, but what if the inner fire was of a more physical nature? That is to say, if each of us had the capability to light a real fire within our bodies, like spontaneous combustion?
As much as I like this painting, this isn't the time for art appreciation. Doesn't look as though this fireplace has been used in a long time. I suppose we can rule it out as the source.
Okay.
That's a nice portrait of Miss Lathan. Too bad it was damaged by the fire. The area where the artist's signature should be has been singed and is unreadable. Too bad.
But the date is still legible. It's from this year.
Looks like this one barely managed to survive. Pity. It looked like a nice work of art. The flames must have been fairly high to be able to stain the ceiling like that. Ashes to ashes and all that. I'm glad I was buried. Cremation always seemed a bit too hot to handle.
Now's not the time for jokes, Bill.
Are you serious? Death is the best time for jokes. Otherwise, it's all just a bunch of boo-hoo-hoo this and wah-wah-wah that. And trust me, there's plenty of that in life. Hell, you'd know better than anyone.
All right. Just shut it for a bit while I look over the crime scene, would you? I need to concentrate.
That seems weird, because...
Alas, poor Desiree, a woman of infinite riches, of tastes most fancy. Where's all your money now? Come to think of it, that question might be worth answering.
Why was part of her body... I mean, like, in cases of spontaneous combustion, they have talked about how part of you burns and then, like, some of you still remains like that. But here's the thing. It is hard to, like, be reduced to ash. It is not easy. Like, even... It's not an easy thing to do.
Ugh, greasy, fetid, stinking ashes. Who knew the human body was capable of producing such a disgusting byproduct?
I'm surprised the coroner hasn't taken the body away yet.
Probably because there isn't much of a body left to take. Either that, or Dr. Edwards knows better than to deal with something like this.
That's extremely unlike him. He'd jump at the chance to examine this body. Perhaps we should allow him the pleasure.
I hope you're not suggesting what I think you're suggesting.
Because it's not easy to burn a body to ash. I mean, like, even cremation takes hours, and it has to burn so hot. So people don't realize, a lot of times criminals don't realize, and murderers, when they try to dispose of a body and burn it, it's not just a simple process. It takes a long time. It's long, it's hard. That was wildly inappropriate. But no, it's not easy to do, and you have to get the fire so hot. Not only that, you have to, chances are you will make it burn, and it won't burn completely, like it goes, even your skeleton will stay intact. It's not easy at all, and the chances of...
This one's clean. Well, aside from the fact that the rest of the leg is burned off. There's a tattoo on her ankle. It says, "Dancing through life." Hate to break it to her, but that dance is over. I don't think Desiree will be able to give us a hand with this investigation.
That was horrible. Get out. Get out right now.
I thought it was funny.
It wasn't. That was stupid.
Odd. Another pile of ashes under the bed. Looks as though whatever she kept underneath got burned too. Or it could be that whatever was under the bed is what caught fire in the first place. Although, there's no evidence of what started it. All that's left is a small piece of cloth. Might as well take it.
The cloth appears to have some oily residue on it. Interesting. There's a letter in here.
Dear Mrs. Latham, August 23rd,
This just keeps getting more and more interesting. The law firm of Usher and Price isn't too far from here. I think it's definitely worth paying him a little visit.
This letter is to inform you that we have received your request to make changes to your beneficiary as indicated in our civil attachment. Please, a few documents make necessary edits.
Nothing else of interest.
Okay. So I think that's just about everything.
Was there someone else in the room just now? I thought I heard you talking.
Oh, no. It's just sometimes I think aloud when investigating crime scenes.
I see.
Good save. We don't need any more police officers thinking you're insane. Nothing new to add?
I'm afraid I need to...
All right.
Hold on. I want to see something, because why would part of the body burn and not the rest of him? Or her, excuse me. And it makes it look like that was set up in a sense.
Oh, Miles, really? You're going to carry the ashes around in a pewter mug?
It's vital to the investigation that we find out exactly what happened to the body. If anyone can tell us for certain, it's Dr. Edwards.
Fair enough. I suppose this isn't the most unpleasant thing you've carried around before. Remember that time we had to go looking for that murder victim's missing head?
I'd really rather not, actually.
Okay. So we'll let him look. Although, it seems weird.
Ugh. The smell from the bedroom is getting worse. I don't know how much longer I can stand it.
I've never smelled a burning body, but I have heard that that is a smell you never forget. And it is apparently horrible. Let's see. Let's go to... That is not what I wanted at all, but okay, I hit the wrong thing.
Hello there. Are you here to drop off an article?
No,
Sure.
Actually, I'm a private investigator. The name's Miles Fordham.
How exciting. You must have so many interesting stories.
You could say that, yes.
Please, come in, come in. I'm Alan Brentwell, owner and publisher of Brentwell Magazine.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Goodness, what a stench. When did you last wash?
Oh, that? No, I've just got these ashes of a burned woman in my coat.
I see. I'm sure you've got your reasons for doing so. If you'd ever like to write an article about the experience, I'll be glad to take a look at it.
I have some questions for you, Mr. Brentwell.
Wonderful! It's so seldom I get to answer questions.
What made you decide to start this business?
I always wanted to be a journalist. I never had much luck with any of the local papers, though. So I decided to start my own. I admit it's not exactly what I wanted, but I like to think Brentwell magazine has found its own unique voice.
Voice? More like a gurgling scream.
Tell me about Brentwell magazine.
We're a monthly publication focusing on both fiction and non-fiction pieces.
Ah, yes, you're publishing that serial, aren't you? The Dissembling Mechanism?
You're a subscriber! Tell me, what did you think of the conclusion? Quite astonishing, wasn't it?
I haven't had a chance to read it yet, I'm afraid.
Ah, then I won't say any more about it. My dream was to have a magazine that was well-respected and educational. But sadly, it seems today's audiences are much more interested in reading about sightings of giant bat creatures or mysterious buried treasures. Such a pity.
I hear you have a bit of a reputation for making your reporters do questionable things for their articles.
You are mistaken, Mr. Fordham. I don't force my writers to do anything. They seem to have this notion that the more extreme their research, the more authentic the articles will be.
What sort of extremes are we talking about here?
We had one writer who attempted to heighten the sensation of fear she wanted to express in her story. Damn near decapitated herself by sticking her head through an opening at the clock tower at St. Denis Cathedral. Ugh. Thankfully, she made it out alive. It would have been quite the predicament if she hadn't. Especially considering that was our most popular article last year. Oh, people have such odd taste.
They keep talking about St. Denis. Every time I read it, I keep reading it as Saint Denis from Red Dead Redemption 2.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan. Oh, why, she came to me a few weeks ago in response to an ad I took out requesting articles. She told me she had an idea readers would love. We agreed on 10 crowns per paragraph, and she was on her way. Come to think of it, I haven't heard from her in a few days.
Yeah.
Were you aware that Miss Lathan is dead?
What? No, I had no idea. What happened?
I'm not exactly sure. She seems to have burned to death under mysterious circumstances.
Mysterious circumstances?
Most of her body was burnt to ash, but there's very little fire damage around her. It's as though she herself just caught fire.
Oh, that sounds positively ghastly. Oh dear.
Is something wrong?
I just remembered. The article she was writing. Dear God. I hope she didn't go too far with her research.
What exactly was Desiree's article about?
I'm not entirely sure. She merely came to me with the proposal.
She didn't tell you what that idea was?
She did, but I wasn't sure what to make of it.
Please, Mr. Brentwell, stop stalling and tell me what she was writing about.
It was about spontaneous human combustion.
I said something about that.
What do you know about spontaneous human combustion?
That's the thing. I don't know very much at all. It sounded interesting enough. That's why I accepted Miss Lathan's proposal to write the article about it.
But what do you know about it?
Only that it's a mysterious phenomenon in which a person catches fire spontaneously and burns to death. It sounds exactly as you described Miss Lathan's condition.
Do you know what Miss Lathan's research on the subject involved?
Only the one contact I gave her, a Miss Angela Maxwell at the Spectre Society in Gascon.
The Spectre Society, huh? Shouldn't be surprised to hear that name again.
Are you a member?
Actually, I am.
Then I suggest you do some research there. There's bound to be something relevant in that curious library of theirs.
Thank you. Perhaps I will.
Okay, so now we know something.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Brentwell.
The pleasure is all mine.
I can only begin to imagine how many lurid and salacious articles are kept in those cabinets. For the publisher of a sensationalist rag, Brentwell is awfully well read. Assuming he actually has read all those books, of course. Confessions of a Steam Addict by Ezra Bartley. I think I'm better off not knowing.
A Steam Addict?
For Whom the Bell Almost Tolled by Suki Snobs. Fascinating stuff.
Okay.
Useful for getting to those hard-to-reach places. In my case, that's everywhere.
Okay, let's go. Sorry, my eye is itching me. Okay, so, I'd like to go to the morgue, honestly. I guess.
Dear Lord, what is that smell? Did you step in something out there, Fordham?
Private investigation is a dirty job, Upton. You know that.
Sorry, I've got like something in my eye.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I need to go to the morgue.
Would it be possible for me to access the mortuary?
The mortuary? What for?
I'd like to consult with Dr. Edwards.
All right, but be careful. Make sure you don't let Snelling see you back there.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
Guess we'll just go there. We're not concerned about this guy. Like, what did he not tell on us? Oh my.
Dr. Edwards' lab was always a fascinating place to learn about death. A bit less so now that I'm quite the expert.
Oh, did I miss cleaning up some bit of that last corpse? Oh, Fordham, what brings you down here?
Hey,
Hello,
Doc.
Edwards. I was wondering if I could pick your brain.
Yes, of course.
Pick.
There's one in a jar over there.
Yeah.
And I may have another one around here somewhere.
That coroner humor never gets old, does it?
Anyway, let me know what you want to discuss. This fellow's not going anywhere.
Is this the Abbey
It
Normal?
looks rather fresh. There's a plaque at the base of the jar that says H. Putnam.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Well, at least he died with a smile on his face. Sort of.
Abbey Normal.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
Oh my.
Keeping busy down here, Edwards?
Oh, you know me. I've always got my hands in someone.
Edwards always did have a way with
I was about
words.
to say.
This postmortem was just a formality, really. The victim died of a gunshot wound to the head. Last week, though, we had a real kicker. An old man was brought in, and though he appeared quite dead, I was told that he'd been in a trance for over half a year. Apparently, he was hypnotized right at the point of death, and somehow managed to remain alive, in a fashion. In any case, when I began performing the exam, his entire body decayed into a putrefied mess within minutes. It was fascinating.
Should you really be giving me these details, Edwards?
Oh, hell, I don't mind telling you, Miles. It's not like you're going to go tell Snelling. Besides, you're the only one who's come to see me all week. Dead people make lousy conversationalists.
Hey, I take offense to that statement.
I've got these human ashes from a crime scene.
Straight to the point. I knew I liked you for a reason, Fordham. Who do they belong to?
Desiree Lathan. She was a Gascon Grande Dame.
Oh, of course. I heard about that case. She was found burned in her home, wasn't she?
That's right.
I meant to go over there later today.
Well, then I suppose I've saved you the journey. Would you have a look at
not
these?
Exactly.
Does this mean you're officially on the case?
Not as such. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention I'd been here.
Ah, clandestine operation. Sneaking around under Snelling's nose.
I don't have much of a choice. I'm pretty much persona non grata around here these days.
Well, you're always welcome in my mortuary. Preferably while still breathing, of course. Anyway, I'll just take those ashes off your hands. I'm sure your social life will soon improve.
Yes, I was making quite the impression.
This is an interesting choice of container.
It was either that or carry them around in my bare hands.
Well, I'm a bit busy right now, but I should have something for you within the next couple of hours. But you do realize the information won't be exclusive to you. I'll have to pass it on to the detectives on the case.
Naturally. That just gives me more of an incentive to work quickly. I found this piece of burned cloth at the crime scene. Could you take a look at it for me?
This is from the Lathan case?
It is, yes.
What do you need me to look at exactly?
It appears to have some oily residue on it.
Interesting. I'm afraid I have my hands full right now, but you can feel free to use my workbench if you'd like.
To do what exactly?
Surely they taught you something about basic chemical analysis when you worked here.
Yes, well, I always let Bill handle the more technical aspects of our cases.
A real pity I'm not around to help you anymore, isn't it?
But I'll have a look and see if something comes back to me. So, Snelling got promoted to chief, did he?
Yes, not too long after you left. Personally, I think he took advantage of your situation to change things around here.
Was it really that much of a shock? Bill and I weren't exactly the most well-liked detectives on the force.
But you were respected. You two solved over 350 cases in 15 years. You were an institution.
Damn right we were. It's so easy for people to resent their more successful peers.
Ah, Edwards. Nice to know someone missed us. You didn't examine Bill after he died, did you?
Ha! He wishes.
No, there was nothing inconclusive about his death. He died from impact after falling from the roof of a building. Why? Was there something else I should have looked into?
No, I was just curious.
As fond as I am of Edwards, it would have been a bit much for him to go poking around my insides.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
It's been ages since we got to do any type of chemical analysis. This will be grand!
Dr. Edwards, could you remind me what it is I'm meant to be doing?
Yes, of course. Go ahead and get as much of that oily residue from the cloth into the petri dish. Good. Now add some of the chemical reagent in the red bottle to the dish.
Aha! The oil turned orange.
Yes! The reagent has caused a chemical reaction and changed the oil's color. Isn't science fun?
Quite. But how does this help me?
I have some samples of the most common types of flammable oils on the shelf. Go ahead and add them to the test tubes. Good. Now simply check each one with the reagent to see if you can find a match.
And if I don't find one?
Then I suggest going out and looking for more oil samples.
Too bad. I would have bet on it being coal oil. So much for kerosene being the culprit.
Why don't you smell the kerosene?
Well, oil be damned. Looks like that's not a match. Oh, you love it.
Okay, we'll need more.
Looks like ammonium chloride. Won't be of much use to us in this experiment.
Okay, so we'll have to get more oil samples.
I remember when Edwards used to keep his collection of preserved reproductive organs on this shelf. He must be getting soft in his old age. Or perhaps that's exactly what happened to his collection.
Haha!
I wonder if Edwards ever got around to fixing this typewriter. The letter E being out of alignment always made his reports a nightmare to read. This provides the room with just the right amount of heat. Unlike the incinerators in the crematorium. Talk about overkill.
But you need
Edwards
the
keeps assorted
incinerators.
bottles and specimens in there. Nothing too remarkable that I can see.
I like his autopsy
Edwards must
table.
have some very good friends in the department who have gotten this custom-made table. It does suit the room, though. Seems to be empty for now. That's most definitely a good thing.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Let's see. We'll come back and look later. I guess I'll have to find some oil samples. Okay, so we've been to the magazine, we've been to the supper club. I guess we'll go here.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to the law offices of Usher and Price. May I help you?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Miles Fordham. I'm a private investigator, and I'm looking for Jonas Usher.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Usher is not seeing anyone today. If it's a matter of urgent legal importance, you could see Mr. Price.
Mr. Vincent Price, perhaps?
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
If I may ask, what is the reason for Mr. Usher's refusal to see anyone today?
He has a rather important trial starting tomorrow, and doesn't want to run the risk of falling ill.
Falling ill?
And Mr. Usher is very particular about his health. Very particular.
I see. Sir, it is of the utmost importance that I speak with Mr. Usher.
And as I said, he isn't taking visitors today.
But it's in regards to his client, Desiree Lathan. Or should I say, former client.
Miss Lathan found another attorney?
No, I'm sorry to be the one to have to inform you, but she's dead.
Dead? I had no idea.
No? It was in today's newspaper.
I haven't read it yet. Mr. Usher forbids it in the office.
But surely he's read it. Just because he forbids you reading the paper in the office.
No, I mean he forbids the presence of newspapers in the office. He fears they bring in outside germs.
I see.
In any case, if what you say is true, I'll need some sort of proof.
I suppose just bringing in a copy of the newspaper is out of the question, then. We'll have to find another way.
Do we have a... I guess we'll just wait till the coroner gives us a coroner's report, because that would make sense. So, we'll come
I appreciate your time.
Enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Okay, so let's do that. We'll go talk to we'll go to the Spectre Society. Maybe we can find something.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
What's up?
Could I ask you about some things, Miss Maxwell?
Certainly, darling.
Are you familiar with a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Yes, she came to see me just last week. She told me she was doing research for an article she was writing for Brentwell magazine.
What sort of research?
She asked me a few questions and looked at my books. That was all. She wasn't here for very long.
And what was she researching?
Something about spontaneous human combustion, I believe.
What can you tell me about spontaneous human combustion?
I'm not overly familiar with the subject, but I do have a book about it on the shelf back there. You are welcome to look at it if it will help.
Not many people
I may,
are.
but I'd like to know what your understanding of it is.
Well, I believe it is when the human body inexplicably catches fire and burns. It usually occurs among elderly women who drink to excess, and very little fire damage is caused around the body. That's really all I know, darling. It's not a very agreeable subject for study now, is it?
Did you know that Desiree Lathan is dead?
What? My God, no. I didn't. What happened to her?
She was found burned to death in her bed.
How awful.
Do you have any idea how this may have happened?
There are a number of possibilities. But if she was in the middle of researching spontaneous human combustion, and then to have this happen, it can't be a coincidence.
Are you suggesting she herself was a victim of spontaneous combustion?
No, I
One
think it
need
was done to
only
make it
compare
look
the
like it.
circumstances of her death with the facts, darling.
She can't be serious, can she?
Thank you for the information. It was very enlightening.
It was my pleasure, darling.
Let's go look at this. This seance, giant squid, voodoo. There we go.
This all sounds strangely familiar, but spontaneous human combustion can't be real, can it? Then again, sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one.
It's not simple, is the thing. It's a highly controversial subject. Let's see. Death victims are chronic alcoholics, that is true. They're usually elderly females. I don't know why. The hands and feet usually fall off. Fires cause very little damage to things around the body. The residue of greasy and fatigued ashes is left behind. Interesting.
I'll be going now.
May the spirits guide you, to that which you seek.
Interesting. Let's have a look at something here. Let's look at the casebook real fast. So, burn cloth, oily residue, suspects. We don't have any. Let's see. Have all that. Investigate the supper club. We've done that one. Huh. Let's go. No, I don't want to be here. Shit! That's not what I wanted. I hit the wrong thing. Maybe she's... Nope, she hasn't started that yet.
I've managed to survive the wild streets of New Britannia.
Seeing you come home always puts a smile on my face.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
You've got an appointment with Charlotte Robineau later today, don't you?
Are you using your detecting skills on me now?
I spoke with her at the Gascon Supper Club, and she mentioned you. Turns out she knew Desiree Lathan.
Makes sense. That social circle is tiny.
She wasn't very forthcoming, though. Do you think you might try and persuade her to talk?
Persuasion shouldn't be necessary. She usually just sits in the chair and starts gossiping up a storm. I think I know more about all the Gascon Grand Dames than anyone should.
That's good. That's very good. I think there's a few more things I need to clear up before I'm ready.
Okay, just let me know when you are.
I'll let you...
Okay, let's see here. I don't know if I really know enough.
I shouldn't be gone too long.
Don't work yourself too hard, dear.
Too much, but let's go back to... Maybe she knows this Peter Andrews guy. Oh, didn't we
Miss
see...
Robineau?
Oh, it's you again. Have you come to ask me more questions?
Yes, if you wouldn't mind.
No. Be my guest.
Is the name Peter Andrews familiar to you?
Peter Andrews? Is he still around?
I'd be able to tell you that if you told me who he is.
He's desperate. That's who he is. A lovesick fool who is obsessed with Desi. Sent her love letters all of the time.
Would you know where I can find him?
Why would you want to?
Because I want to question him about Miss Lathan's death.
I suppose that makes some sense. All I remember Desi telling me is that he worked at the Bank of Vespuccia, a clerk or some such. Imagine.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay, so let's go see if we
Thanks
can...
for your...
Thanks.
Yeah, let's go talk to him, since maybe then we can get some info.
Mr. Fordham.
Ah, Mr. Dupre. Good to see you again. Is all well with you?
Absolutely. Everything is wonderful. Because of you, the city has finally seen Laura Dupre for the monster she is. I cannot thank you enough.
I suppose you're welcome?
No.
Now then, is there anything I can help you with?
Yes, I'm looking for Peter Andrews. I was told he worked here.
That's right. His desk is just over there.
Thank you, Mr. Dupre. Lovely seeing you. Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Miles Fordham, private investigator. May I ask you a few questions?
Yes, I suppose that would be fine. Have a seat.
I'd rather stand, if it's all the same to you. Now then. Exactly what is your role here at the bank?
I'm the manager. I handle the new accounts, organize finance, that sort of thing.
Have you been here long?
Coming up on 17 years. Is this at all relevant to your investigation?
Anything could be, Mr. Andrews. Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree Lathan? No, I can't say the name rings any bells.
Oh, yeah?
You say you don't know Miss Lathan. Would you care to explain these?
Why are they crumpled up? Did she throw them out?
Someone
and
did.
Why do you have them?
I just love catching people like this.
Relax, Mr. Andrews. Let's take this slowly. Now, I can assume by your reaction that these are your letters?
Yes, they are.
So why did you lie about knowing Miss Lathan?
I promised my wife I would cut off contact.
But you clearly didn't. The most recent letter is from 2 weeks ago.
Did she hire you?
Your wife? No, that's not why I'm here.
Ah, well, that's somewhat of a relief then.
So your wife knows about your correspondence with Miss Lathan?
Well, I don't know if you could really call it correspondence. Desiree never wrote back. But yes, Peggy, that is to say, Margaret found out shortly after we married.
Exactly how many letters did this bounder send, I wonder?
At first, I tried to make it out that she was just a friend, but she found one of the more intimate ones while I was writing it.
I see. And what was her reaction?
What do you think? I still have the scar from the glass that she threw at me.
You're still married?
Oh, yes. Margaret comes from a very strict Catholic family. They would sooner she die than divorce. It hasn't been easy. She makes sure to take full advantage of the situation. Always buying herself the most expensive jewelry and spending a fortune on food for those wretched cats. I swear, they're better fed than I am.
Where might I find Mrs. Andrews? I'd like to speak to her.
Our house is at 713 Longfellow Street, just at the edge of Gascon. But I warn you, it's a goddamn menagerie she's got. I'd stay away if you're averse to being covered in animal hair.
I'll take my chances. Were you aware of Miss Lathan's death?
What? Desiree is dead? No.
She was found burned to death in her bed.
You're lying. You have to be.
I'm afraid I'm not, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, Desiree.
Do you have any idea who might have wanted to kill her?
Obviously his wife.
She was a marvelous woman.
Well, I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news, but at least you won't have to worry about writing any more letters.
Oh,
that isn't funny, Mr. Fordham.
Yes, it was. Don't listen to him.
Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
Okay, so let's go. We'll, go talk to his wife. Where's your house? Is this it? Is that a squirrel? Oh, she's...
Nice house. It definitely screams, eccentric person lives here. Speaking of which, that must be Mrs. Andrews over there with those rodents.
That would be my wife out there with the squirrels.
Excuse me, Mrs. Andrews?
May I help you?
I'm Miles Fordham, private investigator. I was hoping you could answer a few questions.
All right then. Don't worry, my darlings. Mommy only needs a moment to speak to the nice man, then I'll give you all the nuts you can eat. My little friends just adore nuts, Mr. Fordham.
Guess that explains why squirrels are so attracted to her.
Do you have any hobbies or pastimes, Mrs. Andrews?
Just
well, of
being
course.
with squirrels.
I do a bit of knitting, and I take care of my pets.
I take it you're fond of animals?
Oh, yes. I just love animals. Most prove to be better company than people.
Is that right?
Well, consider this, Mr. Fordham. Animals can't betray you or lie.
Uh-oh, I don't like where this is going.
My furry little companions would never hurt me, unlike several humans I could name.
Who are these companions, exactly?
Why, my darling little kitties and squirrel friends, of course.
Tell me about your cats.
They're the most wonderful little dears. Do you have any pets?
Afraid not. My wife isn't too fond of cleaning up after animals.
Pity. Cats make wonderful pets. They're good company and are independent, unlike dogs. Edgar and Hubert are my pride and joy. I give them only the best of everything, and they in turn give me their unconditional love.
That's delightful.
I used to have a wonderful cat named Tobias, but, oh, he had an unfortunate accident. That's why I never let my two angels out of the house.
What happened to Tobias the cat?
Oh, I really rather not talk about that. It wasn't my finest hour. Let's just say it was an honest misunderstanding which got blown way out of proportion.
Well, now I just have to know what happened. I hate it when people tease gossip and don't deliver.
Your squirrel friends are quite tame.
Oh, aren't they just the sweetest? And so smart, too. When I feed them, they come up and put their little paws on my hands as though they were giving me little squirrel hugs. And the way they look into my eyes, I can almost hear them saying, "Thank you for the nuts."
Well, at least you can be grateful that it's only my voice you hear and not some rabid squirrels.
What's funny is I had a teacher in high school who loved squirrels, and she kind of looked like this lady on here too. And she actually rescued squirrels, like if something happened. I remember we had a neighbor who had a problem with a squirrel, and they ended up catching it. And they wanted to set it free, but they just didn't want to set it just anywhere. And my mom had actually said to them, "Hey, Kate's got a teacher who loves squirrels. We'll give it to her." And my mom wanted me to take the squirrel in a live trap and take it to school with me. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a good idea. Oh, God.
Did you know Desiree Lathan?
Not personally. I never met her, but I knew exactly who she was.
And who was that?
A miserable drunk. Always going out and getting liquored up at her so-called socialite balls. They try to make them seem so fancy and high class, but it's really just a bunch of bitter old hags getting together to gossip about each other. With that kind of lifestyle, it was only a matter of time before it caught up with her.
Wait.
Do you happen to know anything about the circumstances surrounding the death of Miss Lathan?
I read in the paper that she was burned to death. In her bed, wasn't it?
That's right. Do you have any idea how that may have happened?
Well, I already told you she was a drunk. Maybe she came home plastered and decided to smoke in bed. I'm rather surprised she was sleeping alone. That woman got around, if you know what I mean.
Hey,
He
don't
certainly
slut
seems to
shame.
know a lot about Desiree for someone
Yeah.
who claims to have never met her.
Thank you for the chat. It was very enlightening.
Oh, my pleasure, Mr. Fordham. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to tending to my little darlings.
I swear, it's my junior English teacher. English teacher of my junior year. Let's see. I guess we'll go back to the bank and ask about Tobias.
Mr. Andrews.
Yes?
Can you tell us about Tobias?
Is there anything you can tell me about your wife's old cat, Tobias?
Oh, God. There's a name I was hoping never to hear again. She loved that cat. I'm sure she would have married it instead of me if she could.
That's gross.
Mangy little bastard was always leaving a mess and knocking things over, but he was Peggy's little angel. Then one day I'd had enough, so I let him outside, and...
Yes?
The stupid thing managed to get itself killed. Then things got ugly.
How so?
Peggy got a bit carried away, and... Well, let's just say I never imagined a cat could earn someone a criminal record.
The plot thickens. Or perhaps sickens.
So what now?
Thanks for your time, Mr. Andrews.
Guess we'll go to the police station then and see what happened there. We don't want that. We want the police station, yes? Hey, lady, I gotta ask you
Got
a
a
question.
moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I need some information on one Margaret Andrews. Apparently, she has a criminal record.
Margaret Andrews, eh? Give me a moment to look her up in the archives. Yes, here we are. Margaret Andrews was brought in for questioning 5 years ago in connection with a fire at a theater in Worcester.
Oh?
Yes. Nothing came of it, but she was briefly a suspect. Oh, there's more. She also had a prior conviction for arson.
You don't say.
The file says she set fire to a cab after the driver ran over her cat.
Jesus.
She served 6 months in prison for that. This was back in 1835.
Fascinating.
Thank you for your help, Upton. This has been extremely valuable.
So, Margaret Andrews has a jealous streak and a penchant for setting things on fire. Seems a likely culprit to me.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
Yeah, but we don't know for sure. what's going on, although it seems pretty... do you have her deal?
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
Have you had a chance to look at those ashes I gave you?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately, there isn't much I can tell you. The victim burned to death at a very high temperature. These ashes are greasy and putrid because of liquefied fat from the body, which burned like a candle. As to what caused her to burn, I cannot say without more evidence. I'm sorry, Miles.
It's quite all right, Edwards. I appreciate the information nonetheless.
Well, just so you don't go away empty-handed, have a copy of my report. Maybe it will be of some use.
Okay. So good, I can take
Thanks.
that to the
That's all I needed to know for the moment.
lawyer's office.
Anytime, Fordham.
I still need to get some oil to figure out what kind of oil it was. Okie dokie. Let's have a look. So Siri died as a result of burning to death. Cause of fire is undetermined. Fine. Okay, let's go back to the lawyer's office. We'll give him the document, and maybe I can talk to what's his face. Usher and Price.
Yes.
Follow the House of Usher, which is an Edgar Allan Poe novel. Vincent Price, who played in I think did he play in that movie? I don't remember, but he played in a lot of movies about that were stories of Edgar Allan Poe's. That's funny.
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A report from Dr. Malcolm Edwards, the city coroner, confirming Miss Lathan's untimely demise.
Let me see that. Oh my. Wait one moment, would you?
This is the day.
Martin, what is the meaning of this?
The gentleman who brought that is a private investigator. He's waiting outside to see you.
Send him in, then.
You heard him, Mr. Fordham. You may go inside and see Mr. Usher.
Thank you kindly.
The plaque says it's a portrait of Thomas Usher. Looks like a real go-getter.
So, a private investigator, are you?
That's right. Miles Fordham is my name.
Jonas Usher, a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure's all mine.
So, it would seem that Miss Lathan has shuffled off the mortal coil, as it were.
I'm sorry to say that is indeed the case.
Please, come in, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. I only ask that you kindly wash your hands in the basin first, and limit what you touch in here.
This one seems a bit on edge, doesn't he?
I don't have corona, if that's
Thank
what
you,
you're saying.
Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your cooperation.
Don't get carried away with the handle. Usher seems to like keep...
Okay, so let's go talk to him.
Mr. Usher, I have some questions for you.
And hopefully I have your answers.
How long have you been practicing law, Mr. Usher?
Usher and Price has been operating since 1805. I took over from my father 15 years ago. The stress hasn't helped my heartburn, I can tell you that. Why, just last night I was tossing and turning because I couldn't stand the burning in my throat. That's why I've got these bags under my eyes, you know.
Ah, yes. And Mr. Price?
He's still here, although I think he'll probably be retiring soon as well. But the law firm has done well over the years, and I have a feeling it'll do even better in the years to come.
Oh? Why is that?
We're currently beginning a group litigation against Royal Maverick for the Lygia disaster. I'm confident that we'll recover quite a significant sum for the families of those killed. You weren't by chance affected by the disaster, were you?
Thankfully, I wasn't, no.
Shame. You could have joined the class action and done quite well when we win.
You know, I always thought we detectives made our living off human tragedy.
Mr. Usher, I've noticed from your rules and habits that you seem to have a particular aversion to germs. Why is that, if I may ask?
I've been ill most of my life, Mr. Fordham. I was a sickly child, and unfortunately my condition hasn't improved with age. It's a miracle I'm still alive. That's why I'm so careful about exposing myself to germs.
I see.
How's my color? Do I look pale to you?
Not particularly.
I saw myself in the mirror this morning and thought I looked a bit peaked. Also, my leg has been hurting more than usual, which has been cause for concern.
Nah, you've really done it, Miles.
You think it's leg
Yes,
cancer?
well, moving on.
Sorry, it's an inside joke between my friend Michelle and I. I don't know if she watches my videos, so...
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
She was a lovely woman. I'm saddened to hear of her unfortunate passing.
How long had you been her attorney?
She retained me some 10 years ago, I believe.
That's quite a long time.
Yes, I remember I had just gotten over a bout of melancholia and been able to work in nearly a month. I didn't think I'd make it out of that, but luckily things took a turn for the better. Miss Lathan came to see me, and I've served as her attorney ever since.
Would you say Miss Lathan is a wealthy woman?
Indeed I would. Her estate is worth a significant sum. Of course, you understand that this is confidential information, so I cannot tell you the exact amount.
Yes, of course. Can you think of anyone who may have wanted to harm Miss Lathan?
No, I can't. What makes you think that someone actually killed her?
It seems the most plausible explanation.
Miss Lathan was getting on in years. It's likely she may have developed a case of pneumonia. That's the most common killer of the elderly, you know. I had it when I was younger. Most unpleasant. Constant coughing, spitting up phlegm, rattling in the lungs. Thankfully, I made a full recovery.
But supposing that was the cause of death, how would it explain the fact that her body was completely burned?
She was a smoker. Perhaps she was having a cigarette when she died and dropped it on the bed, causing it to catch fire.
I found no cigarette butts at the crime scene.
I'm merely offering my opinion, Mr. Fordham. You can take it or leave it.
Did she smoke?
I think we should leave it.
I found this letter in Miss Lathan's bedroom, which mentions that she recently changed her will. Could you tell me a bit more about the circumstances surrounding this change?
That's not an uncommon occurrence. People change their wills all the time. Relatives and friends fall in and out of favor constantly.
Had Miss Lathan made changes to her will previously?
No, this was the first time.
What change did she make exactly?
Just a change to her beneficiary. Nothing out of the ordinary.
And when did this change occur?
About 4 months ago, if I recall correctly. Yes, it was definitely in June, because I'd been in bed with a nasty stomach flu at the end of May. That was no fun, let me tell you. I think I lost nearly 6 pounds from the constant trips to the WC. Couldn't keep a thing down, and whatever did stay down soon came out the other end, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, I
I'd
got
say
it.
his meaning is regrettably impossible to avoid.
Who did Miss Lathan name as her new beneficiary?
Mr. Fordham, please. You know I couldn't possibly tell you that. There is such a thing as attorney-client privilege.
Do you not find it suspicious, Mr. Usher, that Miss Lathan died under such mysterious circumstances only 4 months after naming a new beneficiary? You said yourself she was wealthy. Does it not make sense that someone might have wanted her inheritance?
I suppose it's not entirely out of the question.
Right. So tell me the name of Miss Lathan's beneficiary so I can determine if this was, in fact, a murder.
Very well. It was a man named Roger DeVay.
Do you have any information on where I can find him?
Only his address. It's 775 Pumblechook Place in Chumley.
That'll do nicely. Thank you, Mr. Usher.
Okay, are we done talking to this guy? Because he's bugging me.
Thank you for your help, Mr. Usher.
Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Fordham.
Okay. So let's get the hell out of here. Oh, wrong one. Okay. DeVay.
Did Usher give us the wrong address? This should be 775, but there's no building here.
Homeless man.
I used to draw funny pictures of rich people on walls too when I was a kid. Never did a lick of good, but it would always make me feel better.
Maybe this guy painted a picture.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
Is this 775 Pumblechook Place?
Yeah, it would be if the building were still here.
Oh, I see. Might I ask you a few questions?
You can ask.
What's your name, sir?
Me? I'm Herman. Herman Shaw.
How long have you been living here?
Oh, I've been here for ages. since before the building got condemned and was torn down. They pretty much forced us out, you see, but a couple of us came back and set up here. Seemed like a good idea. I had nowhere else to go. That's not so bad, except for when it rains. And I guess we'll have to bundle up a bit more when it gets cold. But other than that, it's like the place was still standing.
There's some of that classic chum ingenuity. Or maybe it's just delusion.
What happened to this place? Why was it condemned?
The building was old, in a pretty sad state, so the inspectors came by and said it was unfit for living. There was a whole lot of us here. Most were able to pick up and go, but a few of us stayed.
Why don't you go to a workhouse?
You wouldn't be asking if you'd ever been inside one. It's wall-to-wall people, children crying, sick folk coughing all over you.
But there's plenty of that out here, too.
Well, sure, but out here, there's freedom. Nobody telling you what to do except the odd copper. Not even many of them in this neighborhood. Besides, this is my home. Just because it's missing a few walls don't mean I ought to abandon it.
You look somewhat familiar. Didn't I see you protesting outside the Harris construction yard?
Yeah, I was there. What of it?
Were you affected by the Lygia disaster?
Well, nobody I know was killed, if that's what you mean.
So, why were you protesting the construction of the Lenore?
That Devons fella promised he'd buy us a meal if we stood in the crowd.
I was about to say free food.
And for a free meal, I'd do just about anything.
Do you know Roger DeVay?
Know him? Of course I know him. He lives here with me.
He does?
Well, whenever he decides to come home, anyway. The rest of the time, I suspect he finds a way to sleep at his job. Me, I'd do the same, except I can't stand the smell of the horses.
Do you know where Mr. DeVay works?
Nah, he never told me.
Do you know a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Nah, I don't know many women. They're not too fond of my company. Well, I don't understand why. I always try to be a perfect gentleman. Guess it just don't got the charm. I've asked Roger to give me a few pointers. He's a big hit with ladies, you know.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He no sooner looks at them than they're falling at his feet. Real natural, that one. Never brings back here, though. Always winds up staying with him, getting a free meal and a soft bed out of it. Ah, well, the bohemian lifestyle ain't for everyone. Maybe someday my luck will change.
I'm sure it will change the day he decides to take a bath.
I thank you for your time.
Maybe give us a shilling or two for the trouble?
I'll consider it.
Yeah, those aren't half bad. Too bad they aren't finished. I wonder if they're going to be used to keep the fire going. By chum standards, that's practically a four-poster. By chum standards...
Okay, so now what?
Doesn't look like much, but I bet it keeps the rain off. Assuming there's no wind. Yeah,
Huh. It's never told him where he works. Maybe...
Hello, Miles.
Addie's heard something about this guy DeVay, because he's a womanizer.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
About your appointment with Charlotte.
What about it?
Right. These are the things I want you to ask her about.
So you want me to take off about an inch, but keep enough for your curls?
Yes, that's right. You know how I like it, Adelaide.
Okay, hang on one second.
I was reading in the paper this morning about what happened with Desiree Lathan. Did you hear about that?
Oh, such a tragedy. Poor Desi. We hadn't talked in a long time, but how terrible to think of her dying in such a horrible way.
My condolences.
Thank you, dear.
Has anyone special caught your eye recently?
Ha! No, I think I'm getting too old for most of the young pups I see around these days. Besides, marriage has proved to be more trouble than it's worth. I'm finished with that whole game. Although there was one fellow who came into the supper club today. Pity he was only interested in asking questions.
Oh?
Yes, the dark brooding type. Sleepless nights etched all over his face. Still handsome, though. I invited him to join me for a drink, but he refused. Turned out he was a private investigator, if you can believe it.
Oh? What was he asking about?
Nothing of consequence. I didn't tell him very much anyway.
Probably for the best he didn't join you for that drink then. Did you and Desiree used to be friends?
Oh, we were like sisters at one point.
What happened?
What else? A man got involved.
You were both after the same man?
No, quite the contrary. We both enjoyed being unattached and had vowed to keep it that way. The Spinster Sisters, we used to call ourselves. But I fell for a man a few years ago. We got married and Desiree stopped speaking to me.
That's a shame.
Yes, especially considering the marriage only lasted a few brief months. I lost both my husband and my best friend. I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned in that.
I heard someone mention that Desiree had her portrait painted recently.
Yes, I heard that too. I think it was Caroline who told me. Yes, that was it, Caroline. She was looking for a portrait artist and told me Desiree had found one. Roger DeVay, I think she said his name was.
Roger DeVay? Sounds mysterious. Who is he?
Well, I don't know about mysterious. He's just an artist. Not a very good one either, from what I hear.
He didn't do a good job on the portrait?
Oh, no, he did fine. I just meant he hasn't really taken off. His paintings aren't worth very much, you see. But Desiree took a liking to him very quickly. Even went as far as giving him an extra key to her apartment. If there was anything more going on between them, I couldn't say. But she could have done a lot better, if you ask me. I mean, he's barely even an artist now. I heard he took a teaching position at the university. Now, who would want their likeness immortalized by a lecturer?
I see. Well, I hope he makes it in the world someday.
Miracles may happen.
Good. I think that's all finished.
Thank you, Adelaide. It was a pleasure, as always.
Likewise, Miss Robinow. I'll see you next week. And she didn't tip very well either.
I'm sorry, dear. She sounds positively dreadful.
No more than the other Gascon Grand Dames. I just hope you managed to get something useful from that.
I did. Thank you, love. Let's see. We'll go to the university, talk to him.
Enjoy your reading. I'll be back soon.
Good luck.
Okay. Oh my.
Excuse me.
Yes?
Are you Roger DeVay?
I am.
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I have some questions for you if you aren't too busy.
Will this take long? This isn't exactly the best time.
It shouldn't, no.
All right then. Quickly.
Quickly. Oh my.
How long have you been teaching at this university?
About 4 years now.
And do you also earn money with your painting?
Not of late. I haven't sold a painting in some time. But my salary from the university is enough for the time being. Perhaps someday I'll be able to devote the proper focus to my painting.
A lecturer, there's no reason you should.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree? Yes, of course I know her. What happened to her was just awful.
Indeed. My condolences, Mr. DeVay. What can you tell me about her?
She was a wonderful woman. Sharp, full of life, extremely witty. I only knew her for a short time, but I consider myself lucky to have had her as a friend.
How did you two meet?
We were introduced at a party and became fast friends. It's hard to believe she's really gone.
You painted Desiree's portrait, is that right?
Yes, I finished it just a few months ago.
Do you often do commissioned work?
Sometimes, but this wasn't exactly a commission. More like a gift.
You mean you weren't paid for it?
No, I didn't do it for money. It was an honor just to paint her.
I see. And did she like the result?
Well, she had it hanging in her bedroom and not in her attic, so I assumed she liked it well enough.
It was a rather nice portrait, I must admit.
Oh, so you've seen it?
Indeed I have. Regrettably, I can't comment on the likeness, never having seen the subject in life.
Ah, yes. Well, she used to say that standing in front of it was like looking into a mirror. I tried my best to do her justice.
Do you have any information regarding Desiree's death?
No, none at all. It came as a total shock. I heard she was burned to death. Oh, is that true?
It is.
It's really just unthinkable.
Do you know of anyone who might have wished harm upon her?
No. Everyone loved her. To think someone could be capable of doing that to her, it just makes me feel sick.
Is it true that Miss Lathan recently changed her will to make you her beneficiary?
Yes. You can imagine my surprise.
My understanding is she left you quite a significant sum.
I don't see how that's any of your business, but yes, she did. I'm very lucky. Oh, I see what you're getting at. You're thinking I killed her for her money. Is that it?
I never said anything of the sort, Mr. DeBay.
No, but I can see it in your eyes.
Tomorrow,
Look,
never
Desiree
knows.
considered me the son she never had, and she was like my second mother. I would never, ever even think of doing something so horrid.
Oh, I'm sure he wouldn't.
I'll let you get back to your class.
Right.
All the tools an artist would ever need. Brushes, pieces of canvas, paints. There's also several jars full of clear liquid. Interesting. Huh. This is linseed oil. It's used as a drying agent for oil paintings. It would be a good idea to take a sample of this, Miles. Especially now that nobody's looking. I'm guessing it's locked, but it probably... Well... So much for modesty. Is it warm in here, or is it just me? These aren't half bad. Nice to know the students aren't completely wasting their time here.
Didn't he kind of hint that he was gay? Okay, so let's go back because that linseed oil, we can test that and see if that matches. Because if it does, then that gives him a reason to have burned her. Let's test that shit.
Now that we've got some linseed oil, it's probably worth testing.
Okay. I can't remember what the oil looked like.
Well, I'll be damned. We've got ourselves a match.
Huh.
I wonder if Edwards knows anything pertinent about this stuff.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
What do you know about linseed oil?
It's an oil made from flaxseed that has many uses. Most commonly, it's used to dry things like varnish or oil paints. Some people even eat it for health benefits. I hear it goes well with a bit of quark.
And it's flammable?
As most oils are, yes. Where are you going with this?
The oily residue on that rag is linseed oil.
Fascinating.
But I found no trace of anything used to light a fire at the crime scene.
Uh-oh, he's getting that gleam in his eye.
Wait just a moment. Linseed oil? Of course! Anytime linseed oil is used, extreme caution must be taken to dry cure rags that may be soaked in it. That's because when linseed oil dries and oxidizes, it releases heat. A pile of rags soaked in linseed oil in a confined space runs the risk of spontaneously combusting.
How long would this take, exactly?
A few days, at least.
Interesting. It's a rather uncertain means of murder, but it's excellent for appearing accidental.
It's certainly not the most far-fetched conclusion you've ever come to.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
Because they said something about it looked like they were trying to burn whatever was under her bed. So if he knew what would happen to the linseed oil if he put it under the bed and it just combusted and burned whatever was under there.
May I ask you some more questions?
Sure. I ain't going nowhere.
Tell me about Roger's artistic pursuits.
Well, not much to tell, really. He used to paint all the time when he had his studio in the building that used to be here. He was good at it, too. Shame nobody ever bought his paintings. All that's left now are those 2 unfinished ones against the back wall there. We used the rest of his spare canvas to make the tent.
How did Roger feel about his paintings not selling?
What do you think? Made him madder in the March air. Didn't do a very good job of hiding his displeasure either. At least none around me. He always used to say he'd find some way or another to make the money he deserved.
Odd. He told me he was content with the salary he got from his teaching job.
That's a load of bunkum if I ever heard it. Truth is, old Roger's about as poor as Job's turkey. He'd do anything to make a quick crown.
Well, now, that's certainly interesting.
I thank you for your time.
Well, it's fitting that Mr. DeVay is an artist, because I think he's painted us a pretty clear picture of what happened to Ms. Lathan.
Yeah, I'm thinking we're done. It had to be him because...
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I'm done with the Lathan case.
Oh? What have you got?
Okay.
She was murdered by Roger DeVay, a professor of art at the university, in order to claim her inheritance. DeVay befriended Miss Lathan and even painted her portrait, but his failure to establish a name for himself and earn a living from his art was driving him mad. Miss Lathan cared for him as a son, and recently changed her will, naming Roger as her sole beneficiary. Roger knew of this, and decided killing Miss Lathan was the best way to solve his financial troubles.
And how did he manage to do so?
Desiree had given him a key to her apartment. While she was out at the Grand Dame's ball, he entered and left a pile of rags soaked in linseed oil under her bed. She arrived home drunk and passed out, unaware that the rags were growing hotter by the minute. Eventually, the oil burst into flames, burning the rag pile as well as poor Miss Lathan.
How awful. Well, I'll certainly pass along the information. What an astounding series of events. Although I'm sorry you won't be able to gloat to Snelling that you solved the case before his detectives did.
I can find other means of amusement, I think.
Good work, Fordham. As usual, I'll send anything else your way as soon as I get it.
Cool.
Roger DeVay?
Yes, what is it?
You're under arrest for the murder of Desiree Lathan.
Oh, I see.
Come with me. We need to ask you some questions at the station. And you up there, make yourself decent, would you?
It's an art class, get over it. And it's just the naked form.
Dearest, I'm back.
There you are. I was starting to get worried you wouldn't make it home in time.
In time?
Time
In
for
time for
what?
what?
For dinner at the Rutherfords. I told you about it the other night, don't you remember?
I'm terribly sorry, dear. It must have slipped my mind.
How you haven't yet been presented a prize for Husband of the Year is beyond me.
There's still time for you to get ready if you hurry.
Why don't we spend a nice quiet evening in together? I'd much prefer that.
We've had a quiet evening in every night for the past 3 weeks. I need to get out of the house.
Okay.
Then go ahead without me. Please give Anne and Joseph my regrets.
So you're just going to sit here at home by yourself?
I'll probably just catch up on my reading or try and get some sleep. Maybe I'll get around to reading that story in Brentwell's.
All right, suit yourself. I shouldn't be home too late, but don't wait up.
Have a wonderful time, my love.
Ah, alone at last.
If only I were.
Careful what you wish for, Miles. You just might get it.
Seeing as I won't, I think another trip to the Angel's in order.
Oh, you're gonna break your word in addition to lying? That's bold.
Nonsense. I'll be home in no time. It'll just be a quick drink to calm my nerves and get you out of my hair.
I think I need a machete for that for him.
Very funny.
So, that last case was really something. Classic example of murder for money. Such a shame. Perhaps with Roger in jail, Miss Lathan's riches will go to a more worthy cause, like feeding the poor. You're not listening to me, are you? Oh, right, you've had 2 drinks already. Fine, I'll just see myself out.
Copper for your thoughts, Miles?
Oh, I was just thinking about a story I read tonight in Brentwell magazine. It's called The Dissembling Mechanism. Are you familiar with it?
Afraid not. Brentwell isn't really my type of magazine.
It isn't mine either, but my wife suggested I read it, and it struck a bit of a chord.
Go on then. What's it about?
The story concerns an inventor, a woman who's the greatest mind of the modern age. In this story, ethericity's been discovered, and the inventor understands and uses it in her work.
Ah, one of those fantastic speculative stories.
Anyway, this inventor spends her time creating mechanical wonders, the likes of which the world has never seen.
I don't know. Why does...
The inventor has a husband whom she loves dearly. One day, he meets a tragic end in a carriage accident. The inventor is devastated.
All too common in these types of stories.
Yes, well, as I mentioned before, the inventor is the greatest mind of the modern age. She spends weeks researching a way to bring him back. She toils for hours, forgetting to eat, neglecting her duties, forgetting her friends. Finally, she finds a way to repair his broken body with mechanical implants. Once that's done, she harnesses the power of ethericity and revives him from death.
Why would she go and do something like that?
Because the inventor's obsession was fueled by love. She cared so much for her lost loved one that she vowed to do everything in her power to save them from death. Unfortunately, things don't go well. The inventor brings her husband back, and at first he's confused, wild. With time and patience, she tries to ease him back into the world of the living. But gradually, she comes to realize that this person she's brought back isn't her husband. Not as he was, anyway. When she understands what she's done, she flies into a fit of madness, and she kills both her creation and herself.
How tragic.
She also leaves behind a note which closes off the story. I can still recall the exact words. This dissembling mechanism hath not the vital breath of he whom I loved. It is not him. I have formed but a vain, mocking shadow of what is forever lost.
That's one hell of a story, Miles.
As I said, it resonated with me quite deeply.
Same here. I can tell you, I'm glad that ethericity crap hasn't been discovered, or else this sort of thing won't just be in stories. You mark my words.
Yes, I suppose that's one way of interpreting it. I should probably be getting home.
One last gin for the road?
Ah, hell, why not?
Oh, so you think you're supposed to...
It's later than I thought. Addie must be asleep.
Uh-oh.
Miles, I thought you said you were staying in tonight. What happened to you?
Nothing. I went out for a bit and lost track of time.
Miles, you're dead drunk.
No, of course I'm not.
Don't you dare keep lying to me, Miles. It's obvious. I can smell it on you.
But I'm not drunk. I only had 2, I think.
I don't care how many you had. You promised me this wouldn't happen again. Where exactly did you go tonight anyway?
I was at the Angel.
The Angel? But why would you go there?
I suppose I was just trying to relive the old days.
So why didn't you tell me you were going?
I don't know.
Miles, this has to stop. First it was that sleep medicine, now you've started to go out drinking yourself into a stupor after you explicitly promised me you wouldn't again. It's clear that you've been keeping something from me and using drugs and drink as a way to avoid dealing with it.
No, really, it's just...
No, Miles. I'm tired of the lies. I heard what you said when I came home from my appointment with Mrs. Lefebvre. God forbid Adelaide ever find out about something. I wanted to think I'd imagined it, so I let it go. But I've come to realize just how wrong I was.
Addie, please.
Enough. No more excuses, no more lying. I just want to hear the truth. What is it you're not telling me?
I can't tell you, Addie. I'm sorry, but if I do, you'll think I'm crazy.
Do you know what I think is crazy, Miles? The fact that you think it necessary to lie to your own wife. Am I to believe that for all these years you've never felt you could trust me?
Of course not. It's just that this is different.
A lie is a lie, Miles. And the bottom fact is you've been lying to me for months. Perhaps I was too naive or too distracted to see what was really going on, but you finally opened my eyes. This can't go on. I refuse to let it go on.
What are you saying?
Get out, Miles. And don't come back until you're ready to tell me the truth.
Addie, you don't mean that.
I do mean it, Miles. I don't care where you spend the night, but it's not going to be here. If you ever decide you want to tell me what's going on, I'll listen. But until then, just go. Oh.
Take me away from all my troubles. So far away from all the worries in my life. Who in the ether is calling at this time of night? Oh, Miles! Please come in. It's so nice to see you outside of work.
Okay.
Oh, I get a hug and a kiss? Is that how it works now?
You put up your rough and tough attitude, but I know deep down you're really a kitten.
Upton, are you drunk?
No, of course not. I admit I like to have a glass of wine or 6 to unwind after work, but I can hold my own.
Well, I'm glad you're not, because I am.
Wait, what's going on? Is everything all right?
No, I'm afraid I've made a mess of things at home. Addie threw me out.
Oh, Miles. I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Not as sorry as I am, believe me.
What happened?
It's really not worth getting into. Let's just say I need to figure some things out about my life.
Don't we all?
Constance, I hate to impose, but...
Of course you can stay here, Miles. As long as you need to.
Thank you. I won't need much space. That chair in the corner should do nicely.
Are you sure? You won't be uncomfortable?
I've slept in worse places, believe me.
All right. Well, I should probably be getting to bed. Early morning tomorrow and all that.
Of course. Have a good night, Upton, and thank you again for letting me stay.
Not a problem. Good night.
Alright, so that was case 3. So we are on case 4 now. And we will start to be on case 4, and we will continue on our way here at a later time. But thank you all so much for watching this episode. Be sure to chomp down on that like button if you did like it. Leave a comment down below with any other game suggestions or video ideas that you'd like to see from me. Share this channel with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already to see other videos that I've done. We'll see you all for the next one.